welcome to another episode of the Empower MEM1 podcast. Today I have with me the lovely Kate, who is a wonderful friend of mine. We met a few years ago through a journey of inner work, transformation, yoga, meditation, the whole thing. And we have stayed very much connected over bigger life, but also our health. And we have found similarities and parallels in the experiences we've had. Listening to Kate talk about her journey has inspired me a lot. And I wanted to invite her up to see if there's anything that she could share, any wisdoms or nuggets of gold that listeners here might find useful. So welcome, Kate.
Oh, thank you, Lizzie. It's so great to be here. I've been so excited to talk about this, and I've just told my family, I was like, I'm going to go talk to Lizzie now, and going to go talk about health. They were like, what are you talking about? I was like, I'm going to talk about health, I think, but we'll see where it goes.
I love that. Health could go anywhere, and that's the beauty of these episodes, is that we start somewhere and we've got no idea where we're going to end up, but that's for us to navigate over the next 20-25 minutes. So I'm very, very excited and very grateful for your time and willingness to be here and come and share. So the first kind of question I wanted to ask you about was something that we've talked about before. So you and I both understand the value and the importance of having community. When it comes to anything in life, but particularly health, I know for myself, I didn't really have community until I found, the one that you and I have now. What has community been for you in your journey? What is the role it's played, basically?
Yeah, I mean, now looking back, I can't believe I just wouldn't be in the place I'm at with my health if I hadn't have been open and vulnerable with a community. And that was a lot of work for me, and really kind of saying, look, this is what I'm struggling with. And it was just from that alone that other people in the community who had perhaps more insight than me and had been on their own health journey could perhaps offer some advice, or say, it was actually somebody in our community who said, you should get your thyroid checked, because I was having various symptoms, almost tearing my hair out, because I just had no idea what was going on, because it was such a strange collection of symptoms, which I put down to long COVID. I think that was what I called it for a while. So I gave it all of these various names. It was long COVID. It was, I've got PMDD, and I'd given myself all of these labels. And it was only, so I was walking around with these labels attached to me. And it was only when a member of our community that we were in said to me, oh, I think you should get your thyroid checked. And she said it so positively. She said it without this dread. And I think that was the first time that I'd had somebody kind of validate what I was experiencing without making it seem like it's so terrible. And she just said, why don't you get your thyroid checked? And it was only when I had that test done, if it wasn't for her, and another few members in the community who also had thyroid issues, if it wasn't for them legitimizing my experience, then I don't think I would be in the place I am now. I wouldn't have detected it so early. And I'm so grateful for that. So the community for me is the reason why I detected it so early on in its stages. And now I'm recognizing how important that is, just to remain open, to listen, to hear what other people might be able to offer you. And that's what the community really gave to me, was that. And I just felt accepted, and I wouldn't be where I am now. So yeah, they gave me belief, I suppose.
I think that's so important even with the numbers of diseases and conditions or whatever we have around, it's still amazing how isolated you can feel, even if that someone else is going through the same thing, or or there's loads of literature about it. To you, its experience just for you, your experience of it can feel incredibly isolating. And I think to have, as you say, the vulnerability and the openness to share about it first of all, but to have someone come back and not paint it to be a very negative thing, I think is so important, and to use it in a way for your empowerment, which I know you have. And I want to sort of ask you more about that. Really, you use the words to me before of championing your own health. What exactly do you mean by that?
Yeah, so I think that they were the words that came to mind. Being the champion of my own health, that to me meant that I was trusting what was right for me, even when everything else said that I shouldn't. And I think that I had so various input from all different sides, because I was experiencing not only physical symptoms but emotional symptoms, which really, was affecting my relationships. And so I think it was very hard for me to try to explain to people that I just don't think it's going to be solved by being put on just a standard set of pharmaceuticals. Like, it probably will help the symptoms, yes, but I just was like, I'm just not happy with it. I'm not happy with just settling for that. And that's not to say that I don't believe in modern medicine at all, because I really do. And I think that the doctors have been incredibly helpful. The NHS has been incredibly helpful to me and have always, treated me so well. And it's not as if I did. And I think that's what happened, was that my family thought that I was, just believing in like quack medicine, and that I wanted to. She was being very extreme. This is all her, she's not very well, and she's kind of going off in all of these extreme directions. When I just knew in my heart that that wasn't the case, and I didn't want to just settle for these labels which I'd previously given myself. So I was quietly investigating. So I think being the champion of your own health is just remaining open, being, like almost like a detective, and just quietly gathering information and feeling what feels right. So sometimes things might not resonate with you, some things will, and just going with your gut with that. And so I think it's okay that people aren't always going to understand why you do the things you do for your health. If it makes you feel better, then that's all you need to know. And I think that's what I've just had to really keep in mind is, if it's right for me and I'm feeling great, then further down the line, just to be okay with that, and to really like believe in myself, was a huge part of it. So yeah, being the champion of your own health, it's like, if you can take things into your own hands, it feels like rocket fuel. Like, the healing happens a lot quicker, I think, than me always doubting my own intuition. And in the beginning, I was kind of wading through mud because I didn't believe in my own strength. I didn't believe in the power of my own healing. So it's been a gradual process, but it gets, the more you believe in yourself and the more you believe in your own healing, the quicker it almost feels like it's taking place.
I love that. I love particularly about being the detective of your own health, because in so many ways that brings some kind of excitement and fun into a topic which is inherently quite dull and negative. And the word you said before, was dread, like filled with dread. And I think that's a really empowering way of looking at things, is to see, okay, what is it that I don't know yet? What is it I haven't worked out? What are the clues, that are going to lead me to what I need? And I wonder, you talk about like, you had to kind of trust your intuition and that sort of inner voice inside of you in your heart, which was, contradicted by everything else outside. If there is, anything, any particular, whatever it might be, practice or a person, what is it that your intuition led you to, and did it work or did it not?
That's a good question. Well, I think a huge part of it was seeing members of the community that we're in healing their health. That, we saw things like people healing cancer, people healing chronic illnesses, and I think that in itself was just, I feel so privileged to have witnessed that, and to seen people just really, really taking control of their own health, but in this really empowering, positive way. And I think that was the main tool, that that was the thing that unlocked everything for me, was being like, I can be like that. That gave me permission to believe I could heal. So yeah, so I think the tool was, the initial tool is community, and listening, storytelling, like making sure that you are telling your story like really openly, and just giving it that, you know, making it your own, and just being like, this is me, and this is where I'm at in my life right now, and just as they were. And just, yeah, it was really the community, I think, is the number one tool. It did lead me to one particular doctor, who, yeah, all of the roads led to this one doctor who was a thyroid specialist, and she really was the kind of my go-to, I think, in healing. And I really do I've become just so much more aware of the health space, and because I think she really is a champion of her own health. She has Hashimoto's, the autoimmune, and she had also just completely healed, like, well, she put it into remission. And yeah, so it led me to community, it led me to this doctor. And yeah, I think that was the question, wasn't it? Was
It was, exactly, it was understanding, you know, if you do listen to that voice inside of you, which in some ways can feel so alien to do, because we don't grow up listening to our intuition, really. You know, we grow up very logical minded, you know, looking at things from the kind of what we call the head, you know, the head level. But also knowing, you know, because you listened to your gut and because you followed your heart, you found something that otherwise you might not have done, because you just wouldn't have even known it was there. And before that, you wouldn't have even known to start looking for it. So I think it's, you know, it's incredible to hear that. In terms of I mean, inner work is something that you and I obviously are very familiar with, and plays, we know, like a huge role in the whole of life, but particularly with health. What's been your journey kind of along that route? What is it that inner work has shown you that it might not have done had you not got involved in it?
Yeah, I mean, my inner work journey started in 2020, and it came off the back of going into the pandemic. And I think that was also the catalyst for embarking on my health journey as well, because that was when I started to have certain symptoms, but I wasn't quite aware of what was going on at the time. So I started an inner work journey. You know, we were all locked in our houses, and I just thought, what am I going to do? And I was offered this chance to join free meditations with Dylan, and at the time it just completely blew my mind. Like I got up every single day to do this meditation, and that was just my absolute must do. And it really carried me through those very turbulent first few months. And at the time, I was experiencing a lot of these symptoms, but I was completely unaware of it. And I really just rolled with the punches and had this inner work journey kind of carrying me. And I didn't know it at the time. It really was like, yeah, it definitely was the thing, my wings of grace in that very difficult period. And I can never, I still don't know, and I'm still unsure as to what the root cause is. And sometimes I can get really hell bent on trying to find a root cause with my health. But the inner work has really allowed me to let go of just being almost borderline obsessive about it, because there was a point where I was, I think very much in the beginning when I was discovering it for the first time, everything became a little bit extreme in how I was trying to figure stuff out quickly. And the inner work journey has just been the perfect buffer to helping me to understand more and more, go deeper and deeper, and peel back those layers. And the more, I suppose what the main thing it has helped me to understand is the power of the body and the mind, and the kind of the more holistic way of looking at our health, that the thoughts that we have can quite literally dictate our health, as much as I sometimes find that hard to understand. Sometimes still, I'm still quite skeptical sometimes about how I believe in those things. But it was only when as I spoke to more and more people, because Hashimoto's is quite common, something like 90% of thyroid imbalances, particularly underactive thyroid, is usually autoimmune in its origin. So it's very common, and it's like there's so many people, and the more people I meet, the more I realize that, wow, I'm like, that this is, there are so many lives that can be touched just by sharing your story. And going on my inner work journey, even though people didn't understand it in the beginning, you know, family and friends, it sounds a bit strange, but it really was the thing which has got me to the point I am now. Only 3 years later, I just feel like I've opened a whole new world to understanding how I work, how I can go deeper into my health, but also into my kind of career, and all of these things, which are relationships, all of these things which are so interconnected. And I think that's what it's taught me, is the interconnectedness of health. That once you unlock one door, you know, multiple doors will open as well. So yeah, I really do believe that health is this all-encompassing thing that touches everything. And the more that you are the champion of your own health, it'll help all of those around you as well. Like, I think that's been a huge part of the inner work journey, is understanding ourselves as energetic beings, and how we really can completely change our energy and, yeah, live the best life that we can. And I'm just so grateful that it really was like the secret sauce I didn't know I needed, the inner work journey. And yeah, it was much bigger than just eating healthier for a while, or it was much bigger than reducing stress. It was community, it was finding the right people, it was yeah, it's just unlocked so many doors for me. And I can't believe that I've had the experiences I've had. I mean, I was just saying to you, my year now begins when I start my inner work, my retreat with, or my event at the beginning of January with you guys and the community. Like, that is my new year. Like, when I start that, and it kind of sets me off on the right foot for the rest of the year. And luckily I've had that now for 3 years, more or less. Like, I've had that buffer, and I just really am so grateful, because I don't think I would be in where I am now with my health. And of course, there's still always things to discover, and I've had tests which have completely just derailed me, because it's like, oh, why am I going backwards? I thought I was doing so well. So I have had that experience as well, of getting test results which, after really, really putting in a lot of effort to try and help myself, was still moving backwards. And I just think I'm so much more at ease with it. I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's just a test. And I really do still have that belief that I can heal my body. And I think that's what the inner work journey has given me. It's that belief that the body can be healed, given the right conditions, given the right, energy, really. So it's made me much less skeptical than I was. I was very, very skeptical about all of these things. And I now believe in, the power of how we can change our own energy, and how that can affect others, and the ripple effects that it has. So yeah, I mean, just an example, but one of my family members, who my partner's mother, who's a doctor, she now is always saying, like, I'm doing some appraisals for my doctorate, and she's very interested in autoimmune, because she's witnessed how nebulous it can be, and she's seen how it's much bigger than just physical symptoms. It really can unlock so many areas of people's lives if we just give it the right space and the right approach, and are just open-minded about it. So I'm just amazed at that, because she's like, yeah, I'm learning about lupus, I'm learning about Hashimoto's, I'm learning about Graves', and I want to understand what these are, because and I think one of the doctor that I really like, Dr. Isabella Wentz, who talks a lot about the thyroid, she even said at the beginning of her journey, because she's a pharmacist, she said that she thought that the thyroid, when she first learnt about it in medical school, that the thyroid was quite a boring organ to learn about, she said, because she thought that it didn't really do very much. But she was like, wow, was I wrong? Like, it's incredibly like it's just vast, and it's amazing once you start to understand how everything is interconnected in the body. And just taking off your skeptic's hat for a little bit can be amazing. And that's what the inner work journey has really unlocked for me, I'd say.
I love that. At so many points that I wanted to jump in and be like, me too. It's exactly, that mirrors my journey almost completely with MEN1. We are nearly coming to the end, but Kate, I have one last question to ask you, and I ask this to all my guests. If you are looking back now on your younger self, whether that's, at the beginning of your health journey, or, when times were most difficult, and you could tell them one thing, you could tell that version of Kate one thing, what would it be?
That's such a good question, Izzy. I love that. What would I say? I would say to trust Kate, to trust that girl that really does know herself, even though sometimes she doubts herself. My body will tell me exactly what I need and what in the right moments, and just being open to that, and just really, really understanding that even if you don't say, even if, I don't know, even if you're seen as the crazy one for a little while, like, it'll all pay off in the end if you just, believe and trust your intuition. It's okay to be a bit crazy as well, I think. Like, it's okay to be the person that comes up with new ideas and isn't afraid to speak their mind. And I think I would tell Kate back then to just keep telling her story, and to not be ashamed of her story, and to really know that that is her strength. Like, and it's amazing how storytelling can be so healing, I think. And I think that has been the biggest lesson for me on this entire journey. Is 3 years ago I was very afraid to tell my story. I was very perfectionist about how does it sound? Does it sound like, how does it come across to other people? And I've really let go of that over time, and I think that has been a huge part of it, is letting go of the need for my story to just be all perfectly polished. Like, it's okay, and it's amazing when we have bumps in the road and we've overcome them. That's the beauty of life, isn't it?
Certainly is. It certainly is. Thank you so much, Kate, for your time, for coming on and sharing so openly and honestly as well, and taking us down lots of different kind of little paths there. I love talking to you because I feel like we can start in one place and end up in another, and completely, have no idea how on earth we got there, but that's just the beauty of of those conversations that you and I get to have. And I feel very privileged to be able to share what we've learned, and our respective journeys with everyone else, in the hope that they also might, something might resonate, or they might find some wisdom in it. So yeah, I can't thank you enough, and I really wish you all the best with your health, and please keep us updated.
Thank you, Lizzie. Oh, it's a pleasure. It's an absolute honor to be here with you, so thank you so much.